Hello, I'm John Reed, employer liaison with Career Opportunities and the facilitator of this podcast. Welcome to Before You Cross That Bridge, a podcast series focusing on helping young adults find a job and or a career on Cape Cod. Today's guest is Dara Bryan, Program Officer with the Cape Cod Foundation, where she manages scholarships and grants that support local residents and organizations. Dara is also involved with the Foundation's civic leadership initiatives, including the Cape-wide Youth Action Plan. So Dara, welcome to our podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. So let's begin by having you tell our listeners just how you came to the Cape and pursued your career.
Sure. Well, I'm from the Chicago area originally. My parents actually retired here a number of years ago, so I had visited before and come for vacation and really enjoyed it. So I actually moved. I was living in Colorado at the time, but I moved to the Cape almost 5 years ago. So, be closer to my family, and my plan was to be here short term. I thought, I'll spend the summer on the beach, make some money, have a good time. And, when September came around, I realized I wasn't ready to leave, but I didn't know what opportunities there were for year-round full-time work. I didn't really hear that there were those opportunities because that just wasn't the conversation I was hearing where I was working and the people I had met. And since I wasn't from here or even the Northeast, I just really had no idea. So, I think it's important to be involved with CCYP and that, others in this podcast are kind of trying to spread the message and, bring awareness. There are year-round jobs. There are plenty of people making a living and enjoying it here. So when I started looking for jobs, I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do. It was important for me to do mission-driven work. I always knew I wanted to give back, but I didn't really know what that meant or what that looked like, how that translated to jobs. So I just started looking at some different nonprofits on the Cape, and I actually found a post online that CCYP, Cape Cod Young Professionals, was looking for office help. So I went to the organization's website, and I thought, well, if I want to stay on the Cape, this seems like a good organization to be plugged into. But the post was not recent. It was at least a few months old. So I thought they probably, filled that position already. But, I'll just reach out and it might be a good connection.
Smart
so
move.
I reached out and sorry, did you say something?
No, I said smart move. A lot of people would not necessarily have done that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I kind of felt like it was a long shot. I assumed probably the position wasn't there, but maybe something else had come up or, they had another idea. So I think that was actually my mom's suggestion. So I'll give her that credit. Moms are good like that sometimes. Yeah. So I reached out and they actually hadn't filled the position and had a great meeting with Ann Van Vleck, who's the executive director. So I started volunteering in the office a few days a week and I was still working in the restaurant at night. And so just a couple weeks after I started, I went to my first networking event and I was terrified. I didn't even really know what networking meant. I didn't have business cards. I was like, what do I do? But I really enjoyed it. Everyone I met was really nice and I was just so impressed by all the, smart, driven, creative people I met who were, living here and loving the Cape. And I thought, if they're doing this, then I can do it too. So, when I started volunteering, I was really looking for paid full-time work, but, I knew that volunteering was an investment and I was trying to think long-term. And, I always heard it's about who you know. So I thought, okay, by volunteering, I can meet lots of people and gain skills and, kind of build my resume to be competitive in the job market. And I think it paid off. So, I made myself valuable to CCYP. So the volunteer position turned into part-time, which turned into full-time, which I never expected and was fabulous. But, even if it didn't, I ultimately knew kind of what my goal was and that this was a step to get there. At the time when
other steps after that got you to where you are?
Yeah, so I think, really meeting people. I think, that was through the people I met and just expanding my network, that's how I found out about the Cape Cod Foundation and how I got this role that I've been in for 3 years now. And I love it. I mean, the work is fun and fulfilling, and I continue to meet new people all the time and get to learn about the community. And I think I was thinking back to when I was applying for jobs, and I was sort of disheartened because I thought, what experience or skills do I have that's relevant? And I did have it, I just didn't know how to frame it. So,
Right.
Like working in a restaurant, you become really comfortable talking to people because you're constantly doing it. And then working for an organization that has lots of events and you're always meeting people, that translates. Or again, in a restaurant, you kind of are managing lots of moving parts in a fast-paced environment, which
Sure.
is also true for nonprofits where you're kind of, especially small ones where you're wearing multiple hats. So I think it was important for me to sort of realize that I did have skills and experience, and I just had to translate them in a way that was relevant to the career I was trying to build.
Dara, what you just did was describe transferable skills in a nutshell, because a lot of us, including myself, wouldn't necessarily equate being a server or waiter or waitress, if you will, with the moving parts of operating a nonprofit. And yet you just drew upon transferable skills that you knew you had that a lot of us wouldn't have seen. I think that's a brilliant analogy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. I think when you try to look at yourself on paper and your resume and, what are the things you're good at? What are the things you want to enjoy, that you enjoy and that you really want to highlight? What do you want an employer to know about you? And, obviously having the relevant experience is helpful. And for me, the way to do that was volunteer. I didn't have office experience. So I was like, okay, I know that's a gap in what I need. And so I'm going to fill it by volunteering and getting that experience, because whether it's, paid or volunteer, it's really important work, and you're gaining the experience and the skills.
All right. So given your inspiring career and outreach activities over the years, what would be your best piece of advice for young adults looking for a job or building a career here on Cape Cod?
Yeah, I would say volunteer. I mean, I kind of said it before, but I really feel like, it's a great way to learn new skills, build your resume, and expand your network. I mean, the Cape is a small place. I mean, I think this is true anywhere, but certainly at times it can feel that everyone on the Cape is connected. So
Sure.
Just expanding your network and telling new people you meet what your goals are, or this is the job I'm looking for. You really never know who they are or who they might know or where your next big opportunity will come from. I mean, many jobs aren't even posted and people just get hired through networks. So, whether it's volunteer or paid, if you show up and you do the work, you'll build that reputation and people will take notice and remember.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dara.
Oh, thank you.
For everyone out there, remember, before you cross that bridge, visit Career Opportunities, the Cape's one-stop career center.